Kapoor, the fact that slogans, there were anti-India slogans which were chanted, which is now referred to as anti-nationalist people and anti-nationalist ideas, and on Kashmir, on certain other factors, and the fact that, Hafiz Saeed's role came into the picture, whether justified or not, and there was a lot of involvement from different stakeholders, from political parties, from the central government, from Delhi police. Do you think all of that put together actually added all that drama into this entire incident, or it could have been handled differently?
No, as we decide, we have already agreed, both Professor Mukherjee and myself, and even others, that it could definitely have been handled much better, with more sophistication than what had been. But if you look at how the government or the administration has gone about it, you look at the kind of speeches they have been making. There is a demonization, justifiable, that you have Hafiz Saeed, who's a third class scum, he is there. And you also have, issues that are raised time and again, that JNU is a den of anti-national people. Those kind of noises have been coming much before this incident took place. And then you somehow pluck a fake tweet from the air and use that to give legitimacy to some of the things that you're doing. Comes easy for people who have been using those voices, but surely it bombs when you do it in a place like JNU, which is far more complex, where there's certain kind of intellectual discussions are taking place. There, I'm sure, a lot of disagreeable things that are happening. Anti-India slogans are totally unacceptable. They should not happen. But nationhood in India is a work in progress. There are, as you rightly pointed out, as Professor Saab pointed out, in Nagaland things were happening. In southern India we have seen it. Kashmir is still not a settled area. I mean, right. You go there even now, as a journalist, one has been going for so many years, and you talk to people and they talk of Azadi. I mean, their identification, their identification with Delhi and with the national government is not there. And even when the BJP is trying to have a partnership with PDP, which kind of does not see anything, I mean, was deeply upset with the hanging of Afzal Guru, who's the center of this entire debate about, and even some kind of touchstone on who's a nationalist and who's not a nationalist. All those things are in a certain way so complicated that it doesn't find easy answers. And with the complexity that JNU represents, because you have people, you have students coming in from different backgrounds, as Professor Saab pointed out, you look at Kanhaiya Kumar, I mean, he comes from Bihar. Look at his very, very humble origin, the photograph that has come of his family. Those kind of people would have never aspired to reach this level if JNU would not have provided the kind of openness and the kind of merit-based system which is there. I don't think that somebody like him would have got an opportunity to articulate his views the way he has done. So there is something about that institute. It's not, that it represents an ideology which is abhorred by some.
Does it also come with a lot of responsibility here? Because this is a students' union president whose speech and whose actions have actually brought him this kind of brought into this kind of a situation where he is into the police custody. But the fact that he's a student, of course he is coming to terms with a lot of things around this country, but at the same time a very responsible nature of a very responsible role that he has occupied within the university. So I mean, what kind of where do you think is the clash here as a students from a student's
I am not. I think the jury is still out whether the JNU Student Union president actually raised anti-India slogans or it was done by that other fringe group which had organized that meeting. I am not very sure, but going by my experience, most of us and most of the Indians are not anti-Indians. I mean, there may be some people from Kashmir who may find deep hatred for the state, primarily because of what has happened in the last 20-30 years. The violence the Indian state has heaped on them because of the standoff which we all witnessed to. But most of them, I don't think anybody actually raises anti-India slogans. They could raise anti-government slogans, which are two different things. I mean, and there is a difference opinion on this, that you may dislike what this government stands for, but that has been the case when this party was in the opposition. Everybody has a freedom, because that the freedom of expression is actually part of our constitution, part of our society, and that is what has actually nurtured our democracy. But having said that, the responsibility of the JNU Student Union to somehow, as a leader, he should have managed it better. There is a point that can be taken. But on top of that, you have the Vice Chancellor's office, and this is not the first time these kind of contrarian noises, these kind of contrarian views would have emerged in that campus. It's a noisy place, it's a rebellious campus where people have all kinds of expectations. They read some stuff in or pick up like from a lecture from a professor like Mukherjee, and they debate, and there are strands which are reeking with dissent, with rebelliousness, which will in a certain way when they are seen from the standpoint of IPC or from the standpoint of the police, they would be seen as violative of the penal code. So you must understand, because everything cannot be judged by the police when a debate is taking place, because when you take things in isolation they seem a criminal act. But that is where campus life is very different from what the life outside is. And as he has rightly pointed out, there are hundreds and thousands of people who have passed out from JNU, and they are in the parliament, they are in the civil services, looking after the interests of the state, deeply nationalistic, and doing all the right things that the state would expect. So under these circumstances, I think the whole thing has got overblown primarily because this is what people wanted to, some vested interests were actually wanted to put JNU and the name and what it stands for on the defensive.
But we have seen political parties really, making JNU the arena this time from all the political parties, as one would look at it. But the center of this entire debate has also reached to the point of debating the freedom of speech and expression, and how far should it be seen from the students' perspective and the discourses that happen in countries' most esteemed and prestigious universities. We'll take a very quick break now in Insight. Stay tuned for more on the other side of this break.